everybody. Hi, welcome back.
Hey, folks.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. My name is Anthony Russo. I'm here as always with my friend, Tim Wyckoff. And you're here at the Bible is Funny podcast. Tell him, Tim.
You're here at the Bible's Funny podcast.
So true.
Hey, Ant, appreciate you having your staff let me in today. They didn't even check my ID this time, so really nice of you.
I meant to tell you that your background check is going to expire. So I need you to do another one. It's not me, it's the team that you know how they get.
Yeah.
So protective when you come into the podcast studio.
You must pay them very well.
Welcome to the Bible's Funny podcast studio. Tim is here. I am here. And I would like to introduce the third member of the podcast that we kind of met recently, but we weren't able to formally introduce. And that's our new friend, Bathsheba.
Is that what we settled on?
Bathsheba.
Sheba. No.
That's it. This is obviously a female.
Oh, Bathsheba?
Bathsheba.
Oh.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Better. Sorry, name just got changed. Bathsheba is here. Obviously a female sheep. It's not a ram. There's no visible horns.
I don't know if that's a rule.
I did Google it, and that's what the Google told me.
Sheep?
For a male...
We're not goats.
A male sheep...
Male sheep?
...is a ram.
Right, but do male sheep always have horns?
There isn't a hornless... This is per a 45-second Google search.
Hey, that's enough for me.
And I think that's like basically going to zoology school.
And that's a pretty extensive fact-checking nowadays.
I read the article because I was like, I think I was going to make that point, and I think that's correct.
Yeah, many people in my family will not spend that much time fact-checking the news reports they send to me. So
what was the time?
Kudos to you.
Who is the time? And if we have any shepherds listening, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, regardless, Bathsheba. Our newest member of the podcast. I got a shout out again. Billy Work, who gave this to us, is just the best friend, best sheep painter. I love that guy. Great follow on Instagram. If you're not following him already.
Oh my gosh, stop plugging everybody else.
I like him so much.
Plug my stuff every once in a while.
I like him so much. Tim, today we are doing a Christian movie review. Little segment we like to call Christian Movies Are Funny. We are now in the month of October, which means it's spooky season out there. It's spooky season out there. So we are going to, this October, cover a couple Christian horror movies.
Careful.
I know. It's pretty scary stuff out here.
Careful.
And that's where we're kind of dipping our toe today in a Christian horror film. So brace yourself. If you are easily scared, maybe have a pillow close to you. That's my strategy on the couch. I give people the visual. I'll put a pillow up.
Did you do that for this one?
I did not for this one. Actually, true story in watching this movie, just dedication for the fans. I was on a flight recently. I started watching Dune. It's been on my list forever.
And I got seen Dune?
I know, and I haven't finished it. It's very good.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I don't know if anyone's else has experienced this. Anyone's elf also has experienced this. You're watching a movie on a plane and you don't get to finish it, and it feels like this really close to being done task to me. It's like I gotta get that done. Whenever I can get to a TV next, I have to finish this movie. And so I didn't get to finish Dune, and instead of watching that last night, finishing it, I watched this cinematic masterpiece.
Gem. Good for you.
So that's dedication.
Thank you for finally putting some effort into this thing.
I watched it in bed right before I fell asleep. And a little bit of me was like, I wonder if I'm going to be like, it is a horror movie. I don't know. Believe it or not, I slept like a baby. But it's so this is our October horror movie little mini series. The film we're going to be reviewing today is the 2003 horror film Bells of Innocence.
Gong. Gong.
Tim, what can you tell the people about the film Bells of Innocence? It feels like there's a lot to talk about on your end.
Besides just how amazing it is, so Bells of Innocence, 2003 horror film, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a legit, like, full hour-and-a-half movie.
90 minutes.
Probably could have been cut to about an hour 10, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of slow scenes. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay. We're here to consume and discuss. This film was directed by none other than Alan Bijan. I've never heard
Saw
of
this.
and written by Chris Bessie and Mike Norris, starring Mike Norris. And you may think that name sounds familiar.
Last name particularly.
Mike Norris. Who else do I know with the name Norris besides Chuck Norris? Mike Norris is Chuck Norris's son. He wrote and starred in the film.
Yes.
Mike Norris is Jux Jonas. The name Jux is real.
Thought I heard it wrong every time.
If your name is Jux, Jux, please see me after class.
I thought it was Chucks for a while.
Oh, maybe that's where they derived it from.
But then, I did. I dipped my toe into the IMDb. I know that's your realm, but I was like,
it's a free open source
Jux.
Yep. Jux. Carrie Scott as Orrin Ames.
Okay.
David A.R. White as Conrad Champlain. You may recognize him from God's Not Dead.
The first one or the second one or the third one or the fourth one?
I think all of them.
All of them is the right answer.
I haven't seen... I remember I started watching the second one by accident. But I haven't seen the other one.
Accident.
God's no accident. Well, just can't. Everything happens for a reason, Anthony. Chuck Norris stars as Matthew. Obviously, Chuck Norris is the legend.
Everyone is starring.
I mean...
They're all stars.
It's how it's listed. I didn't
I
make
love
up that term. Also, Chuck Norris shows up. He's
the star.
Starring.
He's the star.
He may not show up in your film for the first hour and a half, but hour and 20 minutes. But he's still starring because he's Chuck freaking Norris.
Well, he's only going to give you a day of shooting. He's not going to. You know how expensive he is.
His kid's in the movie. The kid, I think he might have been throwing his kid a bone. Also, maybe he didn't have anything else to do because. What else is Chuck Norris?
Or maybe he charged him more to kind of get payback for all the Little League registrations he paid for over the years. So you gonna pay me for something? It's gonna be a lot of money, buckaroo.
Marshall R. Teague. I don't know. You probably wouldn't recognize that name, but he plays Mayor Joshua Rebel / Emeritus. He is in. This guy is in everything and has been in all of my classic TV shows, films, everything like macho and gusto-y. He's in it. So he was in MacGyver. He was in Baywatch. He was in Walker, Texas Ranger, of course. He was in the A-Team. He was in Knight Rider. He was in Quantum Leap.
Wow.
He was also in Friday Night Lights. Like, this dude has been... I know he's been
in Friday Night Lights?
I don't know. Like a dad or something, or another coach or something. But he's been in these things.
Yes, he was another coach, I think.
Yeah. So you start... because I saw him right away. I was like, he looks familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Turns out it's in everything. He was in Armageddon. He was in Roadhouse. He was in The Rock.
That's awesome.
Dude's everywhere.
I'm such a sucker for actors who just are workers. You know what I mean? They're just in a bunch of stuff and they never get maybe their own starring sitcom based around them. But I'm always such a fan of when they drop in. And then they're like, oh yeah, there's that guy.
It was confusing. IMDb was a little confusing because they listed Grant James as emeritus, but I think it was like kid emeritus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a little flashback thing. Spoiler alert.
Jeez, we haven't gotten to that point yet.
But and also that guy, evidently Grant James was also in a movie called Arachnoquake, which. I just saw the title.
Sorry.
Of it. I saw that. I know we're gonna have to do it. It's not even a Christian movie or a funny thing.
No,
maybe it is though.
I don't know.
I'll have to do 45 seconds of research like you did, and then
spiders are God's creatures too.
Arachnoquake.
It's got to be like one of the Sharknado spinoffs.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. The movie poster I saw shows a crevasse opening up in the ground and spiders coming out of it. So
yeah, well. Arachnoquake.
Okay, we're not here to talk about Arachnoquake.
But if Arachnoquake wants to sponsor the podcast,
What?
I won't not talk about it. Okay. Is that all the details we need to know?
It is, yeah. But I can give you the IMDb synopsis if you'd like.
Well, before you do that,
Yeah.
let me take a pause and do a couple things we like to do here. One, I like to just state our objective here. I think that's important that we're all on the same page. We do not like to just sort of with gall and bitterness in our heart approach something. 'Cause that's not how we like to live our life.
I have the gall and the bitterness, but that's not how I want to approach everything.
Right. So we like to consume Christian movies and discuss them here on the podcast. You've probably heard us already say that a couple times. We consume and discuss. And the reason we like to make this definition here is because we don't want this to be something people are like, I don't want to make something. What if I get made fun of for it and people are mean to me? Because that's real. People do that stuff. That's not our main objective here. Our objective here is just to watch these films and then talk amongst them, you and me and all of our friends here. So we consume and discuss here on the podcast. If you're out there making things, making movies, making music, making whatever you're making, keep making it. That's so fun. Otherwise, we don't have anything to consume. It's for everybody wins.
Yeah.
But then we just discuss it here on the podcast. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Christian movies are funny.
You just open yourself up to critique. That's all.
Sure, you're submitting something for consumption, right? Like I make a pizza pie.
We make a stupid podcast.
We make a dumb podcast. People have thoughts on this. Some of them tell it to us in the comments. It's part of the game. That's showbiz, baby. So now we're gonna dive a little bit more into this particular movie, the 2003 horror film Bells of Innocence. You've got some of the cast background. Tim, why don't you read us the IMDb synopsis? What you got?
Yeah. IMDb says, hold on to your seats. Chuck Norris ventures into the West to stop a horde of ghosts in their deadly path. No, for real. That's what it said.
No character reference at all.
Not a character, just the actor, the one guy you might recognize from this film.
And ghosts.
Ghosts?
Wow.
A horde of ghosts.
That's an interpretation.
Ventures into the West. He's in Mexico, but okay. I guess Texas is kind of west.
It's more west than Florida.
It is.
So it's got that going for it.
Yeah. So that's, and I checked. There was like, because sometimes there's a couple of places you can look in IMDb for a synopsis, and nope, that was it. Twice. Wrote that twice.
That's what we got. Well, there we go. I'm going to give a little bit more fuller synopsis now for the viewers. 2003 was a little more than 20 years ago now. So a lot of people probably saw this when it came out, but you've forgotten. So I'll give you the quick rundown. You're like, oh, I remember that movie. What was it about? We're gonna cover that in a second. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm also going to cover it just so you can kind of follow along with the story. If you would like to watch the film with no spoilers, we always like to give you a moment in the podcast where you can pause. You can go watch this. It's on YouTube. It's free. Link is in the show notes if you want to go check it out. And then come back and join us as we discuss. But if you want to just kind of keep listening, then you can just kind of ride right through this. But if you'd like to go watch it with no spoilers, please do that right now. Okay.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Or if you never left, we're going to jump in right now. Conrad and Oren are men of the faith trying to make a difference. And what better way to do that than to bring boxes of English Bibles to a small town in the heart of Mexico? They enlisted the help of Jux, an alcoholic pilot who's haunted by the regrets of teaching his daughter how to ride a bike at a highway intersection. On their way to deliver the good books, the three men crash land in the Chihuahuan desert and take shelter in the nearby town of Ceres, a potentially real town with one car, weird kids, and a dark secret. The mayor of the town, Joshua, is the devil, or maybe like an assistant to the devil. And another leader of the town, Emeritus, is the devil, or potentially like an intern of the devil. And a creepy little girl in the town, Lyric, is the devil in training to maybe to like one day be the devil. And then another boy in town, Jeremy, is about to be crowned assistant to the regional devil. Meanwhile, Chuck Norris is an angel disguised as a cowboy.
Aren't they all?
Also, in this movie, he plays an angel disguised as a cowboy. Michael, who helps Conrad, Oren, and Jux defeat the multi-level leadership of darkness that has held this town captive for over a century. All is well that ends well. As the curse of the town is lifted, Conrad and Oren's families finally arrive to rescue them, and Jux travels through a space-time continuum and dies at the hand of Lyric, the devil girl.
I'm sure people followed along and they got all of that.
That is the movie. As much as I could get the gist out there.
So I can see why they would just say, you know what, Chuck Norris ventures into the West for ghosts.
For ghosts.
Just go that.
Oh, for
Can't
ghosts.
quite put our magical fingers on what this movie is. So
that was my best take.
Chuck Norris. No, I think you figured it out. You figured it out better than I did.
So here we go. Let's discuss it a little further. Tim, what was something that was shocking to you about this movie?
I mean, the moment Chuck Norris started shooting like lightning fire from his fingertips, creating a wall of fire. Like we've gone like an hour into this movie with seeing him one time,
right?
And then the next time you see him, he's got light up fingertips and they're shooting fire from nowhere. And so that was a little jarring.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. And he lights a lantern, which in turn creates a firewall elsewhere.
Right.
In the universe.
Yeah. It's like his magic spell ball.
I guess. The lantern. Maybe that was it. That would make sense.
Would it?
That was his use. That was his thing. Was fire fingers.
Yeah.
That did something. Gross. This is what was shocking to me, and it's a theme at this point for listeners of the podcast. They'll know when we name a movie something, and then we just abandon that thing altogether. The Bells of Innocence is the name of this movie, and right away you're kind of introduced to like there's a guy who's crazed and he's running around and he's like the bells, and you're like okay, all right, and he's got this like mark on his hand, and that's kind of our intro. Later on, when the fellas crash land, they hear bells, and then they go, and then there's no bell in the church tower, and then they say, "Are there bells?" And someone says, "No, there's no bells here." And then at the end, when the curse is lifted, bells start playing again, and those are the story points that involve bells.
Yeah. I don't. Is there some sort of like history? Maybe somebody else can chime in on this. Like, do like demons not like bells?
Oh, maybe.
Is that a thing?
Maybe that's every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Is from It's a Wonderful Life. So maybe there's like angels like bells and demons.
Thanks for spelling that out, though.
Don't like bells.
I forgot about that movie. But yeah, maybe that's a thing. I don't know. It still doesn't really make sense.
It's like they say they put it in the movie title. And then they're watching this and they're like, well, we don't need to talk about it more. We put it in the title.
Yeah. Well, I think I've shared this story before. It's like my book report when I was a kid, where I was like carved the soap into a wolf head because the wolf head was on the book title or the front cover of the book. Right. And then my teacher was like, well, okay, what's the significance of the wolf?
Right.
Knowing clearly because I just read from the back. And it gave my book report from the back page.
Right.
And I said, they didn't really say. What was the significance of the bells in this film? Honestly, though, Mrs. Smith, they didn't really say.
It legitimately left with very little idea.
Right.
It's just so formative when you approach a movie. And this is like The Wager we watch. And then you're like, well, what's The Wager? I don't know.
Super secret of Tom DeLonge or whatever his name was.
The Secrets of Tom Sperry?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah,
Thomas Sparrowheart. Something.
What was the secret? Nobody knows.
But that's what makes it a good secret.
It's like Jules Verne saying like the book is called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Takes place mostly in the air.
We're going to stay above water.
Why, Jules Verne? I don't have to explain myself. I'm Jules Verne. I don't know why you talk like that.
Because he had the name Jules.
Jules Verne.
If you had the name Jules, you'd do the same thing.
I'll take a... This is a dumb bit. I'm going to stop.
Thank you.
The character that you wanted to see less of in this film.
This one's tricky. But I have to say, Oren, was that his name? Yeah. Here's where I get stuck. It's because he was really good. He was funny. He was fun.
That's so funny. You're
he
saying
looked
this right
exactly like Adam Scheffler from ESPN, the reporter.
He really did.
Doppelganger.
Yes, he did.
But so it wasn't because I didn't like him. He was like too funny. He was like too much. They just used him too much. So you could have used a little bit less of him, less comedic breaks, because it just all kind of turned into a joke.
Right. I honestly, okay, I'm going to get ahead of myself. I put him as the one I want to see more of. I wrote here in my notes, was I crazy or was he kind of hitting as a comedic?
Absolutely.
Like, I thought some of the stuff he said was like, that's kind of funny. Like, you're doing
this is a horror movie.
Nice job. And yeah. And maybe it was like, I don't know. It might be one where like he was doing better than everybody expected. So you left more of his stuff in the cut. But yeah, you're right. It was like, made it feel like, well, is it supposed to be funny? Because it looks real hokey with the fireballs shooting out of fingers and whatnot. The character I wanted to see less of, though, I'll go back to the question, was just this demon team situation. Again, I kind of covered that it was unclear how this was all happening. Apparently the kids at some point like lost their souls, but then Lyric had clearly was like kind of messed up already. And so had she like already lost her soul? The kid Jeremy was super weird, but he like hadn't lost his soul. They were all acting like kind of demonish. And then you get to this point.
But that's kids though.
You get to this point with Emeritus where there's this big climactic scene, and then Jeremy's mother grabs a knife, stabs him. You can't stab a demon. That's crazy. But then a gun shoots the demon, and that's the end of the demon.
But it was the demon's gun that killed the demon.
So you think it was just but I think it was the demon's knife, because the demon was holding that knife on Diana. And she grabbed it and stabbed the demon.
But that was just a lower level demon's knife.
It's all about hierarchy.
Emeritus gave his gun. And his gun was supposed to kill the girl, but didn't, and then just got used on the other demon. So, yeah.
Hard to track, hard to understand. But honestly, all of that could be forgiven. Their dialogue was so... Like, I wrote it down just because I was like, this has to be presented. Like, because you presented it to us, I would like to present it back to you. This is what one of the demons, the two lines the demons say. The time has come to be... Sorry, let me restart.
Cut.
The time has come to truly be the bequeathed with the ecstasy of our reign. That is a line. What does it mean? Who could possibly know? Second line. As the life to the servants have been the nectar of the bearer shall make the beings of the wise. That is word for word what was uttered. As the life to the servants have been, the nectar of the bearer shall make the beings of the wise.
I did not pick up on that line. It sounds probably in the same way that like I never like picked up on the lines from like hymnals that were just because that sounds pretty familiar. As the deep. Oh my God.
Those lines make sense. Listen, I realize you're just trying to kind of put scary words in sequence, but they have to make a complete thought. I think.
They don't, though.
They don't. They didn't.
They didn't. They still made the film.
As the life to the servants have been, the nectar of the bearer shall make the beings of the wise.
To the beings
what a Sing it. It makes it worse. I said I wanted to see more of Oren. I thought he was kind of funny. Tim, who did you want to see more of?
I mean, I started writing this down early on, but I was like, Chuck Norris. I want to see more of Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Because again, he doesn't show up for he's there for a minute, and then eventually I got my wish. He does come back. He does more.
Yeah.
But I would take more of like the angelic version of Chuck Norris once it's kind of revealed that he's 100%. An angel, which I thought he was Jesus for a little bit. Like I didn't really know where they were going.
Weird. Yeah.
And then the fire coming out, and Jesus as a cowboy is kind of, I understand that.
That checks.
That checks.
Right.
No, the angelic Chuck Norris. He took on like a little bit of a different persona there.
Oh yeah. I hate that I'm all over the place, but that's what I had as my high point.
Welcome to my world.
I just want to
all over the place.
I just want to continue that thought and say that was my high point. Was just Chuck Norris, and I pontificated on this for a little bit because I just was like, there's certain people in certain types of roles that like I'm just like don't finish the plot, don't finish anything. You tell me Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are in a rom-com, like I'm in. I'm bought in. That's it.
They are.
You tell me.
You should see it.
I've seen them. Okay. If they didn't know what to do, if you tell me Will Ferrell is in kind of like a silly comedy, I'm in. Okay, that's it. I'm in. If you tell me about your movie, and maybe this is the IMDb summary, involves Chuck Norris in being some sort of cowboy or Texas lawman, delivering the cheesiest lines of all time. Like I'm in. I'm already committed to the project. Fully know what I'm getting. That was Chuck Norris was fantastic in this movie. I don't know what else to say.
He was exactly who Chuck Norris had to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like what's that hot sauce that was really popular there for a minute? They were putting it on everything. Sriracha. It's like sriracha.
What do you mean was popular?
I feel like it's like leveled off a little. There was a time where it was just like, I'll put sriracha in my water.
The only reason I didn't put sriracha in my chili last night is because we ran out.
Sriracha's nice. I like sriracha.
Don't talk crap about sriracha right now.
If you like sriracha and I tell you this dish has sriracha, you're like, yep, that's sriracha.
All right. But
that's Chuck Norris.
It sounds like you're talking about sriracha being a fad, and I don't like this.
No, I think
don't
for
like where
a
this conversation's going.
For a moment, it went
it
like...
didn't peak.
It went to a place. All right, maybe it didn't.
You don't know anything about sriracha.
I can tell you I'm sorry that I brought this up.
Right back at sriracha. No.
What's your?
I'm gonna figure that one out.
What's your low point?
What was your character to see more of?
Oren. I jumped ahead and
that's right.
It's kind of
that's
funny.
right. I forgot you're all over the place, like normal.
Yeah, I am scattered today. What's your low point?
Low point. There were a few.
A couple
to choose from.
Yeah.
The mayor's haircut when he becomes the devil. That just kind of stuck out a lot.
Or was he always the devil?
Okay, but that haircut was the devil. When it's just all like the forward comb of everything coming
all over the place.
To a point. It looked like a gray-headed raven. Also, just the fact that the guy's name was Jux. No offense to Juxes out there.
Yeah.
The stock background music. The karate kick fighting. I'm sorry to take them all. When Jux starts to do his karate kicks like his dad, and it's just not. He got one kick in. It's not good.
It is karate kick.
It's not good. Ultimately, the demon voices at the end when like Emeritus jumped, or it wasn't Emeritus. Sorry, I got this confused. It's not Emeritus. It's the mayor. I forget what his name. Joshua. Yeah. But when he like becomes the devil version, Emeritus is his boss. When he starts yelling in his demon voice, and then you see the skull show up, like you see the skull inside his head,
right?
And it's reminds me of the Home Alone scene where Harry shocks himself, and then you see his bones all inside his body,
right.
And that's how silly it was. So that was a very low point on a horror movie to see something that I was just laughing at.
I mean, I want to say it's 2003 and there's like, we were doing what we could, but I feel like others were doing like better.
Yeah. You just don't add it in there.
You don't need it.
Yeah. If you don't need it. If you don't have the technology to make it look good or the budget to make it look, just don't do it.
Right.
Just, we can imagine that he has a skull inside his body.
That was my guess. Going in. That was my presumption that I made.
Yeah.
But you know what happens when you presume. My low point was it's a little nitpicky. I'm often stuck on dialogue. But Jux, throughout the film, a couple of times, Jux is told he has to choose between Lyric and Amy, his daughter, who tragically dies.
Who sent into traffic, yeah.
Pushes her off.
5 feet away. He shoved her into traffic. Like from the time he lets her go to the time she gets run over, like you had a whole park behind you.
A whole
huge
peaceful
park.
sidewalk.
All of it right behind you. Just a mile stretch, quarter mile of just
very
asphalt
little
pavement.
situational.
And then he sends his daughter to cross the street.
Yeah, it was a bad scene. Anyway, he's told several times because he's super guilty. It's his character, and then he meets this lyric, which turns out is like potentially the devil, trying to like get him to like choose the devil. So they're like, you have to pick between Amy, your daughter who passed away, or Lyric, who's right in front of you talking. And it's very like, if you're the audience, you're like, I don't know how do you pick? How do you pick Amy? I'm not trying to make it more sad. How do you pick Amy, and why would that matter? And it just was a very logical question based on this like moment they were trying to build for.
I want you to take your logic. I want you to walk out the door. Okay?
If Chuck Norris...
No place for that today.
Chuck Norris talked me through a lot in this movie that I accepted. Like I was my grandpa telling me a bedtime story. But this particular part, it was falling so flat that at the point of the movie, like the climax of this movie, Jux has to say out loud, I choose my daughter Amy. Almost as if he turns to camera and says, who represents the purity within all of these children. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess. But if you have to say it like that, I don't think you brought the point home with the story.
Oh, it's your opinion.
I choose my daughter Amy. Who of course represents. Okay, I said my high point was Chuck Norris. What do you got?
Yeah, again, kind of the same thing. Right. They did do a nice. I'll just add this. They did a nice job of making people seem creepy.
Yeah,
like you felt it for the town. Everybody was weird,
dude.
Yeah, good job. Good music. Everybody's quiet, just kind of looking at you, like,
yeah,
good job. But then just again, back to the concept. It was a moment, and I know it sounds like everything else just about Chuck Norris, but the moment where he wakes up dead and Chuck Norris is his angel right there, and you're like,
what a dream.
What a dream. Or is it a dream? Is he dead? Is it a dream? And then you find out he's dead. And
no one is sad.
Yeah. Well, why would you be sad?
Well, I mean, like, his buddies seem to just...
Well, they don't think they knew.
You don't think they knew he was dead?
I don't know.
Dude,
they were so busy to be with their... like, he was back at his house. And the devil came to his...
How was he back at his house?
Somewhere.
His buddies left the town,
well, he woke up on
their
wives. Oh, that's right.
Like, just fist pounding everybody. Let's get out of here. Forget this town. And it's like somewhere on the drive, they were like, wait, weren't there three of you?
Because he woke up surrounded by his bottles of beer.
He woke up at the beginning of the movie, like that scene, and he picks up the phone. And they say, "Are you on your way?" He says, "I'll be there in a second." Mm-hmm. And then Lyric, the devil, maybe, says something on the phone, and then she's in the room, and then she has a gun, and then
So he's back at the house. That's what I'm saying. It's like he's back at the house.
But how would he have gotten back to the house when the others were still in the town?
He's got a pilot's license, man. Fly whatever demon plane he can.
He's still the demon plane.
Stop trying to get your stupid logic into this movie. There's
Don't
no
even
place
start to question that there was a car the whole time.
Nope.
And they were like, how are we possibly going to get out of this town?
No auto shop.
There was a car that was running the whole time. And it was like, oh, well, but, we probably shouldn't take the car. What? Okay. So your high point was the
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, the angel.
Yeah.
Just at the very end.
Dream
just
scenario.
Nice little button up.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute.
Mm-hmm. He was fantastic. The kids. I did ask myself in this movie, why can kids be so creepy? Like this is obviously a. You go back to The Shining and the twins, and you go back to like...
Yeah, I'm not usually scared. That's the thing with me. Like, I'm not scared of kids in movies. So, like the Chucky movies, there's like a doll it's going to kill you. Like, it's a little thing. I think I could take them.
I think the thing is maybe that you're prone to believe them is what's scary.
I'm not.
But I'm not either. I assume they're always sort of lying. So I don't know really why that's like a motif. It's a whole motif of like creepy kids.
I know. I just don't buy it.
Now but
that's okay. It's not like criticizing other people. It's just not my flavor of tea.
I'll say when they put the creepy masks on and were singing collectively in Latin.
Yeah,
that was pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was good.
Give them some creepy points for that.
It was weird.
It was like the masks reminded me of something. I don't remember what movie it reminded me of, but. Quick side note, I thought Ceres was like the name of the town.
It's not real.
It's not real. It used to be called St. Augustine, which is really interesting. Town in North Florida by the same name. Which, he's a popular guy, so maybe that's not weird. Okay, Ceres, the town. I was curious where that name, I was like, is that a Bible thing? Mm-hmm. Ceres? Like, I don't know. What's it? So I looked it up. It is a little prevalent in Greek mythology. It's a goddess of grain or agriculture. It's actually where we get the word cereal. Cereal.
Wow.
But it's just straight up a definition. This is going to blow your mind. It's a plural form of the word cere, which is a waxy, fleshy covering at the base of the upper beak in some birds.
And here I was afraid I was going to learn something.
It's like an Easter egg.
It's the dumbest thing you may have ever brought up.
I did love that they started cutting away to a peacock after his peacock joke that we never fully heard. Long shots of a peacock on a building. Oh my gosh. All right, grand finale. How many raised hand emojis out of 5 do you give the bells of innocence?
All right. So this is going to sound, this is, I'm going to give it a solid 2, like a solid 2.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. 2s are usually bad.
Right.
This is a solid 2 in quality, but watchability, it was like a throwback to me. It felt just like an old A-Team episode or an old MacGyver episode, and I'm totally in
Certainly
for that.
An old Walker, Texas Ranger episode.
Let me have it. I'll watch that all day long. Very watchable. Not good, very watchable.
Yeah. I want to just say ditto. The way I expressed this was it's 1. It has to be a 1 because it is a bad movie. But it is a 5 in that, I think I've said this on another one. Everything you want out of a bad movie, it gives you. Like, story's crazy.
That's a great point.
This is a fun one to watch with people.
Yeah, watch it with a group of friends.
This one is a 5 in that regard of like, it's so out there that you're not going to like walk away feeling like any kind of way about it. You're just like, wow, that was quite a bad movie. So I said either a 1 or a 5. That's what I said. A 5 if you're looking for this, then this is it. Sort of like I don't know. I think of like a steak and shake chocolate milkshake. Like if you're looking for a health snack, it's not going to be good at all.
Right.
Actually, though, if you're just trying to eat it, it's pretty good. Oh man, this was a recommendation from our friends. Tim, What do we say to our friends? Thanks, you, friends. Send your recommendations. You can comment on the podcast. That's how I think this one came in. You can comment on Instagram @TheBibleIsFunny, or send me a message. Let me know what Christian movie we should review next.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like we need to say, like, it's not fair if you're just making me watch these movies. If you haven't first seen it yourself, you have to put yourself through it. Or somebody has to have put you through it at some point in your childhood.
Okay.
That's what I say. I mean, I can't back it up, but come on. Don't do this to me.
It's absolutely not a rule. And a lot of you actually get a lot of joy out of making Tim watch these movies, as do I. And I think really that's what brings us all together. So go ahead and send us. Go ahead and send us your cringiest, whatever Christian movie you think we should do next. Because we all love making Tim do this. Mm-hmm. And that really what this country needs now more than ever is stuff that brings us all together. So thanks for listening. Send us your movies. And we'll be back here with another episode real soon.
Later.
The Bible.